Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us while we discuss 5G wireless technology. Throughout this presentation, we will be going over the general evolution of wireless technology from first generation all the way to the inception of 5G wireless technology. The main purpose of this presentation is to explore the uses of 5G technology, how countries are better preparing for the implementation and adoption of this technology, looking over the pros and cons and the response speeds for 5G compared to its predecessor, 4G LTE. Throughout this presentation, I hope to better leave you all with a better understanding of 5G wireless networks, the general technologies, and potential news sources for additional research to better understand the next generation of wireless technology. Before we take a look at 5G and where it is today, let's take a look back and discuss the evolution of wireless technology as it stands now. With the first generation of mobile communication was developed around 1979 and throughout the 1980s and was the most popular standard adopted by most systems such as the advanced mobile phone system and the total access communication system. The key features that was touted were its frequency ranging from 800 to 900 megahertz. The bandwidth was around 10 megahertz, allowing for 666 duplex channels. The modulation was FM and only serve voice only. The disadvantages of this system was the poor battery life, the increased size that was needed, so it made mobile devices a little more cumbersome, and you did not have the ability to roam between similar systems. The second generation system improved upon 1G's technology and supported 14.4 to 64 kilobytes per second data rate, which allowed the use of text messages and email services for mobile devices. It allowed for roaming, encrypted voice communication, though it did have a low data rate and was limited to a certain number of users based on hardware compatibility. The third generation, also known as 3G, supported a higher data rate, which allowed for video calling, the use of applications, and better support for web browsing, and multimedia message support. So, meaning that you could send in video clips or other type of media to another end user using this technology. The downside of 3G was that it was expensive to license and the infrastructure was costly, especially for mobile devices. The fourth generation, also known as LTE, made it possible for the simultaneous transmission of data and voice, allowing for a better data rate, which was up to 1 gigabyte, and it reduced latency for critical applications. And this is where we see the use of IP packets for voice. it also suffers from expensive hardware infrastructure such as the 3G system, and will also carry on with the fifth generation system. Now, what is 5G? As we stated earlier and went through the previous iterations of wireless technology, we can take a look at the fifth generation. This is the newest evolution of wireless technology, and its main goal was to focus on the increased growth of data and connectivity needs of today's individuals within either a metropolitan area or within smaller towns. The need for data is constantly increasing due to the advancements of technology and data sharing. This will provide internet speeds up to 10 gigabytes and uses small cells in beam forming to increase efficiency, along with having a cloud-based infrastructure for power efficiency. This will hopefully help in the total cost reduction for data itself and not be expensive to price people out of the market. For the initial inception, it is to be known that 5G is only initially implemented in dense sites such as business districts, stadiums, convention centers, and hotels. So people in less packed areas will not see the initial benefit of 5G. So it is important to know that 5G will work alongside of 4G and will not be a total outright replacement in the immediate future. Due to the cost barrier, it looks like wireless carriers such as AT&T, Sprint, and others will not initially try to roll out 5G in those suburban or rural areas until demand justifies the cost of upgrading the cell sites. Continuing on from the previous slide discussing what 5G is, we will start talking about the implementation of 5G technology. Different organizations are trying to map out the best way to implement this technology within dense areas. One way they have found might work is network densification, and they will use that to add additional cell sites to increase data capacity. This means that they will keep placing cell sites closer and closer, therefore making it more dense to have additional towers that will allow for increased data rates, and the requirements will reflect the changes of the number of cells with the number of network nodes. Due to the expense of upgrading these towers and creating more, investments in small dense cell sites will concentrate again on major metropolitan areas. Another goal is to increase the use of IoT devices, that is Internet of Things, such as Amazon Alexas or any other smart device that connects to the internet. They want those devices to rely on 5G rather than Wi-Fi that most residential homes own. To expedite the process of implementing 5G technology, there have been talks of trying to get federal buy-in to allow for a more expedited process of trying to install these cell sites and transmitters into these metropolitan areas, as it will make it cheaper and easier to implement small cell As this is a relatively new technology that we are discussing, there is limited bandwidth that can be used and harnessed. So, due to this, more research is being conducted to make use of the technology as it is now. This means attempting to slice the number of bandwidth portions into two, along with providing additional subchannels, that of which would span over a group of 12 contiguous subcarriers in the frequency dimensions. There will also be looking over the base station to terminal distances and how shortening them will allow for increased performance of data capacity and transmission between devices. I will now hand this over to my colleague Franz Prevalon to better expand upon this technology, the potential shortcomings, and the best use of this technology within the space that we have now. Thank you.
Thank you, Eli. With the evolvement of technology, computing systems are becoming more ubiquitous, meaning they exist anytime and anywhere with little human interaction. 5G itself has a lot of pros, however, there are cons associated as well. For the sake of this presentation, we'll discuss 3 pros and 3 cons each. 3 of the pros are speed of transmission. This network uses the current long-term evolution, also known as LTE, speed combined with a millimeter wave band. 5G network is 100 times faster than its predecessor and can transmit an estimated of 10 gigabytes per second. Latency. The delay for time can be reduced to 1 millimeter, making it 10 times better than 4G. Connectivity. This network uses more spectrums, which permits it to connect with multiple devices. By enabling multiple connections, more people and devices are able to connect simultaneously. Conversely, some of the cons associated with 5G network are as follow. Cost. This mobile network requires a change of its infrastructure if it is not compatible with it. This change will increase in time and finance. Information. Since this technology is newly developed, there is not much information associated with it. Coverage. The area covered by 5G cell phone tower is reduced because cellular devices that uses 5G uses a shorter distance. 5G network will be a great contributor to the Internet of Things. You may be wondering, what is the Internet of Things? The Internet of Things is the interconnection of various everyday devices, and these devices can be tablets, printers, phones, etc., making it more convenient for its end users. With the use of Internet of Things, cloud computing advancements and usage is extremely useful and is expected there will be nearly 41.6 billion connected devices by the year 2025. As you can see, this gives you a visual understanding of how the Internet of Things works. You have multiple devices connecting to one user. You can have your music, video, camera, phone, email, alarm clock, everything you use on the day-to-day base to make your life more simple, connected together. As it currently stands, our infrastructure does not have the capacity to accommodate the amount of devices that is expected to connect to it. Therefore, 5G will play an integral part in the Internet of Things. There are some industries that will benefit from the use of the 5G network, such as smart cars. 5G will allow them to improve their ability to constantly collect data. Healthcare centers. Healthcare centers will be able to provide remote services to rural areas with low latency. Logistics. Logistics companies can use the improved connections to provide 5G to install and configure tracking sensors from end to end at a higher speed and low latency. The, the fifth generation mobile network, also known as 5G, is still in its infancy stage and has a lot of potential. This technology will revolutionize how users interconnect. It has been designed to meet the need of the large growth in data and connectivity of today's modern society. This technology is cellular architecture, has many benefits, however, there are downsides to it as well. The fifth generation mobile network, also known as 5G, is still in its infancy stage and has a lot of potential. This technology will revolutionize how users interconnect. It has been designed to meet the need of the large growth in data and connectivity of today's modern society. This technology is cellular architecture, has many benefits, however, there are downsides to it as well.